We present the Escape from Tarkov 12.12 patch notes. We'd like to remind you that there is going to be a what with this patch. This means that the progress of your account will be reset. The key changes: Lighthouse will be added location. I'll have some footage going on with the Lighthouse in the background at some point. Lighthouse at Cape Delny was an important strategic object on the way to Tarkov. During contract wars, it was the main entry point for USEC units that served as their base of operations. After the conflict, scavs took a fancy to this place until the old owners returned, who decided to stay in Tarkov and establish their own order. You're going to learn about that very shortly. This is the first iteration of the location. In the future, the territory will be expanded, which will include new bosses and I believe the founding raid trader. Lighthouse location will feature a new AI type, the Ex-USEC operators, also called rogues. They are a gang of former PMCs who previously operated together. They are well armed, well trained, and use coordinated combat tactics. They have similar interests to the raiders ones, but have united around their shared military past. Rogue USECs have taken over the water treatment plant and entrenched there. Station machine guns and grenade launchers set up along the perimeter, with several fighters patrolling around the clock. When an enemy is detected in a sector of fire, there is suspicious of enemy presence, the guards will open suppressive fire, trying to prevent the enemy from approaching their territory. These new bots are lenient towards USEC PMC faction, which means they're not going to engage straight away. They will not open fire upon a USEC player unless the player tries to enter their territory. If the player gets too close, he'll receive an order to leave immediately and will be shot if not compliant. Also, if USEC player is in group with a bear, both of them will be considered hostile and attacked on sight without warning. The Keita said there's going to be like an elite bear group later on during this like pre-game show, pre-wipe show. But so don't stress. If you do go bear, obviously you're gonna have a disadvantage immediately. But later on, there's going to be some sort of elite bear faction being added. If a USEC player engages in a fight with the rogues, they'll be considered a traitor and will be treated as hostile for the next several raids. Inertia has been added to the game. More realistic movement actions. Inertia manifests itself following situations. It's pretty much walking, strafing, sprinting, sharp turns during sprinting, landing after jumping or falling from heights, and leading and sidestepping. The easiest way to explain inertia is you're going to be affected by how much weight you have. As soon as you have any weight on you at all, it's going to be harder for you to get to full speed, whether it to be strafing, jumping, moving, crouching, walking, strafing, etc. So I won't go through all of these, but that will be how it works. The inertia force increases starting from 0 kilograms, but on max strength, elite strength, you'll start at 10 kilograms and it'll have the maximum effect at 70 kilograms. With elite strength, it'll be at 80 kilograms. They've also expanded the crouching and getting up mechanic. Depending on how much weight load you have, the more stamina it will drain by standing and getting up from being prone. So just take that into account as well. Expanded weapon malfunction mechanics. So I've read these. I'm just going to give you the explanation. But there's 3 types of new malfunctions that are being added to the game: the failure to eject, failure to feed, and the jam bolt. The failure eject will happen after firing and the cartridge is jammed by the bolt and is partially visible in the ejection port. The source of the problem is, first of all, the technical condition of the weapon, and less often, and the overheating of the weapon and cartridge characteristics. So if your gun is already damaged quite considerably, it will have a failure to eject more often, but also overheating will cause this. Failure to feed will actually happen when you have high capacity rounds and drum magazines. It can also be affected by weapon overheating, and jam bolt will happen. Sorry, I'll just read this one. Jam bolt, after firing and bolt gets jammed. Jamming can be of 2 types, normal and hard. The only difference of the duration is the duration of the troubleshooting. The cause of the jam bolt can only be overheating of the weapon or its technical condition. Hard jamming occurs only at low values of technical condition of the weapon, below 5%. So malfunctions cannot occur in a new weapon. So if it's above 93% durability, no malfunctions will occur. Some type of weapons can't have certain malfunctions depending on what they are, what type of weapon they are. Now, in order to fix the malfunction, you're going to have to inspect the weapon first, which I believe is the L key. I could be wrong. And as you get to elite troubleshooting skill, you will no longer need to inspect the weapon before you fix and rectify the malfunction. Now, after the events and actions related to the malfunctions, a colored notification occurs in the bottom right corner of your screen. These notification sounds can be disabled in the game settings by unchecking the malfunction notifications. I would highly suggest leaving it on until you understand what the malfunctions are when they are happening. Weapon overheating. The long story short of this is the more rounds you put down, the more it's going to overheat. The more overheated it is, the higher chance it will have a stoppage, but also you can have a possible chance of cook-offs when they're severely overheated. A cook-off is when a round is already in the chamber, the barrel is extremely hot and the round will just shoot itself. If you shoot a heap of rounds, stop firing, and like 3 seconds later, the gun might even shoot again. Just one round. So just understand that that could actually happen due to the malfunctions. Now, for the ballistics, I've already spoken about this in the past, but the easiest way to explain what's happened with the ballistics is they're keeping a flatter trajectory. And if you look at these images as well, when they start going into the green, it means they're going to have less pen and less damage. So shooting someone at long ranges is going to become a lot easier. However, they'll at long ranges or do less damage. So you still get one-shot headshots 90% of the time, I'd imagine. It'd be very unlikely that you're not going to get a headshot at range and kill them unless you've got like a really high class armor on helmet. So yeah, pretty much the patch notes to say it's to represent a lot similar to realistic real life data. So also the loss of all types of damage depending on the energy of the bullet at a distance. The increase in damage and penetration of the bullet from the change in the bullet velocity have been corrected. For example, a 5.45 by 39 round, which is the AKS-34U or AK-74N, at a distance of 150 meters, the drop in damage was about 20%. But when changing the barrel for a longer one, thus increasing the velocity, the damage and penetrative abilities also increases. However, it's worth understanding that some of the ammunition, there is no data in open sources, or they are incomplete. Such ammunition will be adjusted as the necessary data is found. So they're trying to keep the game in some aspects as realistic as possible. They've adjusted the recoil mechanics. Now, they've reduced the automatic recoil compensation when firing long bursts. So you can't just burst a 60 round mag and expect it just to be a laser beam by the end. Decreases the recoil reduction bonuses from skills. So skills aren't going to be as a higher effect. So all the sweaty chads are going to have a bit of a harder time spraying you down when you're at a low level, and general refinements and improvements in the weapon recoil system. This is a really cool thing that means that it's going to be a little bit more balanced going up against someone who's at really high level. Now, VoIP. VoIP, the easiest way to explain VoIP, I don't need to read all this out, is it's disabled by default. If you want to use it, you can use it for 15 of 20 seconds. So that's the most you can use it in a period of time. It's on push to talk mode only. And if you want to disable it at any time, you can double tap Y and disable VoIP. If you have someone spamming naughty words or music and you want to get rid of it as well and report them, you can double tap Y and you can report them. It will report anyone who's spoken in the last 2 seconds. If someone is saying naughty words over and over again and gets reported lots and lots, they will automatically get disabled. They will no longer be able to use VoIP across the game. And then I believe there's going to be some sort of investigation system from Ballistics Games, which will ban them from actually the game itself if for some reason they take too many naughty words, I guess. This doesn't mean you can't shit talk someone. You can say, you're a piece of shit and fuck you. It just means don't say fully stupid words and don't just spam music. Expanded the operational tasks. So this is your dailies and weeklies. Added the description variety to all types of operational tasks. Added the completed operational task statistics to the player's stat screen, and added the exit through specific extract condition for the exit the location type task. So previously it was just survive customs. Now it'll be like use the, I don't know, the crossroads extract. Okay, added the ability to partially use different types of food and drink. So this doesn't make sense. Added the ability to partially use different types of food and drink, but then they go into all this stuff. I think there's going to be another 12 here. Anyway, only the duration of the effects from the amount consumed, the strength and delay before the start of the buff does not change. All buff stacks only on up to the original buff value. Negative buffs also stack up to the original value. Negative buffs take skills into account, in particular the metabolism skill, which cuts the duration of negative effects by 50%. Negative buffs take the immunity at the maximum metabolism skill into account. Number 12 there, added new items. They're going to give a full list of all guns and parts and armor and all that later on. But for now, they've added new weapons, new weapon parts. Nikita said it's the biggest patch they've ever had for weapons. There's most guns added to the game. We know there's like the SCAR, there's a G28, there's the USP, there's a double barrel shotgun. I think there's 2 revolver shotguns, and I'm sure there's plenty more that I've forgotten just off the top of my head. There's 4 new hand grenades. So there's impact grenades as well. If anyone's curious as well, for DLSS, it's not in this patch, but it is coming. He said soon. Right, they're working on implementing it into a upcoming patch, but it's definitely getting added to the game. New equipment, new barter items, new keys. Something to take note on keys. I don't know if it comes up later in the patch notes, but all keys in the game, if they didn't have a durability in the past, now have 100 uses. So for example, a Dorms 114 key, if you were to farm Dorms over and over again 100 times, you'd have to replace your keys. This doesn't really affect casual players, but it does mean that those keys at the end of the wipe might still hold some sort of value. compared to right now, which after about a month into the wipe, they have no value whatsoever. New storage cases, an injector case, and a keycard holder. That's pretty cool. Rangefinder. Now the rangefinder will eventually be in the compass slot, but it's not right now. You have to put it in your pocket or rig. And the rangefinder is really cheap. Nikita said he made it cheap so you guys can use it plenty. 5 new cartridges, new clothing sets for USEC and Bear, new unique armbands. He said he's going to add a lot more, and new face types for both factions at the start of the game. Added new quest for Lighthouse location. He said there's new quests from level 10 to 35 spread out across the levels. Graphic changes and optimizations, screen space reflection, a reflection effect from wet or glossy surfaces, water surfaces. This technology has been completely redesigned. Now the reflections look more realistic, while the load of the system is noticeably reduced. Added optimizations for vegetation rendering at longer distance. This allows us to significantly reduce the CPU load in locations with a large number of trees and other vegetation. Added optimizations for physical collision objectives. Added various service optimizations as a copy pasta from every single other patch notes they've ever done. SSR is now enabled by default in high and ultra graphics presets. Reduce the desaturation effect during rain. New picture is now more vivid, which is nice. I'm not going to read all the fixes, all right, but there are a lot of fixes. All right, I'm going to read these ones, and then if I know that Nikita's said something else during the cast, I'll go back and read the other ones. All right, various fixes. Adjusted and also improved the characteristics of some weapons. Remove the ability to quick throw grenades. Now when you press the hotkey, the character will take a random grenade into his hands from the chest, rig, or pockets. So you press G, it'll pick a random grenade out. You now have to click left click to throw far or right click to do an underhand throw. If you want to select a specific grenade, you need to hotkey that grenade. So you can put it to like number 7, and then you will be able to select that grenade specifically. Then you can throw that grenade that you're ready for. Adjusted and added new crafting recipes to the hideout. Changed the conditions of unlocking hideout zones. All keys now have 100 durability, which I explained about before. Changed the starting gear for bots and player scavs. Various balancing changes in rarity of spawns, locations, and items. He's touched on this during his cast, saying that, for example, labs keycards won't be very common early on, but as the wipe progresses, he's going to make them a lot more available. So by the end of the wipe, they'll be really prevalent, and you'll be able to go to labs a lot more. But early on in the wipe, lab keycards are actually going to be quite rare. Changes and fixes to logic and parameters of various weapon attachments. Various changes to traders' range of items. Many location fixes and improvements. Balancing changes to task rewards. Now, this is probably going to be the most controversial part of the whole patch notes and this wipe. Specific items can no longer be put up for purchase on the flea market. Now, pretty much all these are all your class 5 and 6 armors. Pretty much anything that's a class 5 or 6 armor, all the way down to about there, is no longer available to be put on the flea market. So all your endgame armors are no longer available. And then there's a couple of backpacks, and then literally these are all your AP endgame ammos. These are all the stuff that you would craft in your hideout, are no longer available. You also can't buy a majority of these from the traders either. So it's going to mean that time to kill is actually going to get reduced a little bit, and it should make it quite interesting for people, because instead of being straight in the early wipe, you now, like, I'm not going to be a secret about it. Within probably the first 20 hours of a wipe, I'll be running endgame gear for the rest of the wipe. I can do it, and most of the other people that know what they're doing can do that. But now, with the labs being locked and not locked, but made a lot harder to get into consistently, and the fact that I can't just consistently buy armor off that flea market, gear is now going to take a lot longer to get really high end tier gear, and the time to kill is going to be longer, which means you're going to have more enjoyable fights, maybe a little bit more funny moments, and not just single bullet head taps or 1 or 2 bullets to the chest. My take on it, I'm sure you guys won't agree, or some people won't agree, but it is what it is. Other things to take into account is the flare and thermal are no longer available on the flea market. This might become an issue for when you do a quest. So when you do get your thermal sights, make sure you put them aside for your quest. That's the night vision. We've got the Mark 18, the grenade launcher, and then down here is 60 round and 100 round mags for M4s. These are your your MK big mags, so your MK47 big mags, and then also the biggest one that's going to be the biggest change is the labs access card. It's no longer available on the flea market. So if you main labs, you're no longer going to main labs. You're going to have to play other maps, because until they become more common and you can find them consistently in other maps, you are no longer going to be able to just go back to back to back labs. which also means if someone wants to farm straight to level 62, they're going to have a lot harder time because they're not going to be able to just do non-stop labs. I can see a big negative to this, which is there's particular types of players that just farm it, and you know, it's kind of good that they're all on that one map. They might decide to spruce out to other maps, which might make it a little bit more frustrating for people, but it is what it is. Anyway, I speedrunned all these patch notes for your enjoyment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is a YouTube video that I am filming during my subathon on Twitch right now. I'm giving away computers every 12 hours. And if you enjoyed this video, like and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe, notification bell, keep up to date for the latest Tarkov content. I'm going to be punching out you guys left, right, and crazy. Have some hi to YouTubes, chat, say all the nice things that you want to say. But besides that, guys, I do appreciate all you guys popping in to either the live stream or watching all the YouTube content. I'm trying my best to give you guys the latest information as quickly as possible and go and get all those guys cranking for you guys. So buckle in. It's going to be a fun wipe. It's going to be a very different wipe to what we're used to. And thanks so much for everyone who's supporting either the stream and it's absolutely incredible for me and my team and my family. So come over to the live stream, enter some giveaways, and come say good day. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Make sure you like and comment for the YouTube algorithm. If you like any video on anyone's YouTube channels, it really does help out with discoverability. Anyway, guys, I'll finish on this one here. So lastly, I'll see you next time.